disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
This is not another boring podcast from Stop It Through the Police Body Cam. Judge Carol Weimer, you are under the microscope. On today's podcast, we're going to talk about what motion is coming up in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And is the prosecutor attempting to use an officer that already lied to the court? Did this officer already violate the chain of custody in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? Did this officer already violate and break department policy? We're going to talk about, is the prosecution office and the police department blocking the inspection of the Mustafa Al-Jazari vehicle and the SUV involved in this collision? And why does that matter in this whole entire case? And the question is, if the prosecution office and the police department are blocking the independent expert to inspect the vehicle and reconstruct this whole entire collision, how is this case supposed to go to trial? We're asking, where is Mustafa's lawyer from what the prosecutor is attempting to do when using this officer? What is Mustafa's lawyer, current defense attorney, from the prosecution office and the police department blocking the inspection and the reconstruction of this collision? And we're going to ask a straightforward question. Is the defense attorney working for the county to falsify this case? We have a sealed file. We stole the file from the county, the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. This file is sealed. We got our hand on the body cams, the documents, that we can ask these questions and find out what is going on in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. We're going to have a very interesting podcast, a very detailed podcast. We're going to go over body cams. We're going to go over documents. And we're going to go over the motion that's coming up in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And we're going to find out what prosecutor Sarah Sammy is doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case out of Prince William County here in Virginia.
Morning, Chief.
Morning. Just grabbing a little H2O before the next briefing. You know, a lot of good conversations start right here at this cooler. Keeps the department running and hydrated. Not
Chief, we have a problem.
What's going on?
The Mustafa brothers. One of them got into evidence storage, took the Redfield file.
You're sure?
Caught him on the cameras 10 minutes ago.
Damn it.
Detective Forrester's been trying to track him since.
He knew exactly what he wanted. Folder was gone when I came back from the lab.
Lock down the exits.
We've lost another body cam node. Pull up the feed.
Found him. It's Mustafa, brother. He has the cams.
Lock down the servers. Now.
He's already inside.
Turn. This is for you, Agent Doyle. Full clip. Don't let them bury it.
Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother. Now.
They brought him on a ride-share trace, heading south on East Street, plate ending 068.
Sending coordinates now.
Copy that. Keep the feet up.
I'm moving. Garcia, it's Reed. I need a location on Mustafa, brother. Now.
The broadcast talk to me.
Rideshare just dropped him downtown. He's heading for a studio called FM Wave.
Copy that. Put eyes on the block and lock it down. Whatever you do, don't let him air that file on his podcast. Units are en route.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer out of Prince William County here in Virginia. You are under the microscope. Now, the questions that we're asking on today's podcast. Is prosecutor Sarah Sammy out of Prince William County here in Virginia just an honest prosecutor that wants to get to the bottom and find the truth in this case? Or is it that she's using every dirty trick in the book to falsify this case? Is she using officers that are falsifying this case and that they're updating her every step of the way? These are legitimate questions that's coming out of the Mustafa al-Jazari case. Now that we have the file, the sealed file, and that it's leaked all over the internet, this case is going viral. Every video that we post out of the sealed file is going over 100,000 views. Some are reaching 1 million views. Now, we're going to be asking these questions. What is coming up in the Mustafa al-Jazari case? What motion is coming up? And what is prosecutor Sarah Sammy attempting to do? Is she using an officer that already lied? Now, before we jump into what we want to talk about today, we want to go over to our local paper Inside Nova and see what is going on in our community. There we go. All right, so we've got this article coming out of, Inside Nova. This is July 29, 2026. All right, titled Culpepper Mail Carrier Charged with Stealing from at least 100 residents. So you've got a carrier being charged with stealing from 100 residents. All right, let's read what this article says. All right, so our local paper tells us that investigators have arrested a rural mail carrier following a 10-month investigation by the Culpeper County. All right, Becky, if you're out there, if you can hear me, this is right in your backyard. All right, Culpeper County. Sheriff Office and the United States Postal Inspection Service into this scheme targeting resident mail. All right, you've been busy, ma'am. You have been busy. All right. On July 28, Crystal Devon Dean, 55 years of Culpeper. All right, so Crystal Devon Dean, ma'am, if you're out there, if you're listening to this podcast, if you come across our podcast, if you or your family are coming across this podcast, I read this article and nowhere in it do we hear your side of the story. Do we hear your family side of the story? Feel free to reach out to us. Read in this article, these are all allegations that the county has to prove. So, and the part that is concerning is we're not hearing from you or your family. So we don't hear your side of the story. So reach out to us. We'll get your side of the story out and we'll go from there. All right. So Dean All right, so let's go back. On July 28, Crystal, put that up on the screen. All right. There we go. Everybody can see it. All right. A little bit bigger. There we go. That's a lot better. All right. On July 28, Crystal Devon Dean, 55, of Culpeper, was arrested following a nearly year-long investigation, which involved undercover surveillance and follow-ups with local resident and business owners, Sheriff Timothy Shelton said in the news release. All right. So the sheriff is weighing in on this. All right. And they've been investigating Crystal Devon Dean for a whole entire year. They've been watching you for a whole year, man. All right. All right. Dean faces 39 charges, including 30 counts. 39. You've been busy. Crystal? All right. Dean faces 39 charges, including 30 counts of felony mail larceny, 7 counts of larceny petite. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. Petite larceny. Someone look up what petite larceny is. 1 count of felony credit card theft. Okay. You've been busy. You've been definitely busy. All right. You have no problem in the credit card department. And 1 count of felony use of stolen gift card, Chilton said. All right. So the chief is weighing in on this, and he's telling us that Crystal has been busy. All right. The investigation began in September after a resident contacted the sheriff's office to report missing mail. Well, all right. This is your problem. All right. You're relying on resident that may or may not have a problem with Crystal. All right. If we've learned anything in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, we realize that the police department are bringing individuals without vetting them. Mustafa was suing the police before the vehicle accident. When the vehicle accident happened, the police department just brought in anybody and everybody that wants to talk shit about Mustafa. I hope that's not happening to Crystal. Without vetting the individuals. And the reason, and I can say that confidently because I have the body cams. We're going to go over those body cams at one point on this podcast. We're going to dissect these body cams. We're going to see what the police department has done in the Mustafa Al and how they brought in everybody. Everybody and anybody that wants to say negative things about Mustafa. And I hope that's not what happened to Crystal. Crystal, you poor thing. All right? I don't know if that's happening. I'm just telling you from what I'm seeing coming out of the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And I'm just asking questions. Is that happening to Crystal? All right, so let's go back. The investigation began in September after a resident contacted the sheriff's office to report missing mail. Detective identified Dean as a suspect early in the case, Chilton said. Eventually determined she was removing gift card and other valuable items from mail along her delivery route. Okay, all right. Then discussing the empty envelopes. Oh, discarding the empty envelopes, all right. Following her arrest, authorities secured evidence from her home. I want to know how many credit cards. I want to know how many envelopes were discarded. I want to know, were they lost or did she actually discard them? I want to know how many. All right. Discarded the empty envelopes following her arrest. Authorities secured evidence from her home and the vehicle she used for her route, the sheriff said. All right. So they got her vehicle. All right. Few jobs come with the level. All right, so this is what the chief of police is saying. All right, hang on. Let's read this picture. This picture has nothing to do with it, right? Does it? It has nothing to do with it. All right, but the title says, while the investigation is ongoing, authorities estimate that more than 100 people may have been victimized. All right, well, there's your answer. Well, we don't know exactly if 100 people were victimized. This is what the police are saying. All right. Well, let's wait for the evidence to come out. All right. By the way, I'm definitely going to be in Crystal's trial. I'm going to be tracking this case. I want to be at Culpeper. I'm going to take Becky with me. Becky, if you're out there, get ready, ma'am. We're showing up we're putting you on this wagon, and we're going to wagon our way to the courthouse. And we're going to be in the courtroom, and we want to see this through. We want to see if Crystal is guilty or is she innocent. We want to get her side of the story out. We don't know if she's guilty. All right. All right. So this is the chief of police, Chilton, out of Culpeper, says, few jobs come with the level of access and trust that mail carrier is given, Chilton said. That goes both ways, chief of police. I hope you're not just throwing random charges at poor old Crystal. I really hope you have evidence. You're not relying on random residents without vetting them. The same that's happening out of Prince William County in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. I hope that's not happening. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm saying I hope that's not what's happening. People in this county put birthday cards, graduation gifts, holiday cards, checks, and personal information in their mailbox every day, of course, because they trust it will reach the person it was meant for. That trust was broken here. And these important milestone gifts did not make it to their intended recipients. See, here's the problem. You've got the chief of police weighing on Crystal as if Crystal is already found guilty. Wait, I thought you're innocent until proven guilty. What happened to that? I mean, in this country, do we still have something called you're innocent until proven guilty? Well, that's out the door when you have the chief of police all over the news talking about Crystal is already guilty. The Culpeper Post Office and the local postmaster Cooper cooperated with the detective throughout the investigation, the chief of police said. Chilton said. All right. Enough with Crystal. Before we move on, Crystal, if you're out there, if you come across our podcast, reach out to us. If your family is coming across our podcast, this is a podcast out of Prince William County. If you want to get your side of the story, we will get your side of the story. What's disturbing about this whole entire article is nowhere in it do I hear from Crystal or from the family of Crystal. All I hear from the chief of police, from the police department, and they're weighing in as if she's guilty. And that's a problem. That is absolutely a problem because you are innocent until proven guilty. These are all allegations. For all we know, the police department are relying on bullshit resident that has a problem with you. Hey, maybe you stepped on a couple of toes when you were on your route and someone got pissed off. I mean, that's possible. What are we watching in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? It's a bunch of fucking malarkey. And I can say that because I've got my hand on the file and we're going through it. And the police department brought in individuals. The police department knew they were lying about Mustafa. Evidence showed that they were lying about Mustafa, had a problem with Mustafa, and allowed them to come in and say every negative thing in the book about Mustafa, and the prosecutor built a case on it. And now that the file is leaked, we can see that it's all lies. This is a car accident. Mustafa lost his family in a vehicle accident. Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. Now, the prosecutor is attempting to bring in an investigator. The same investigator that lied to the court. And she wants this investigator, Investigator Chad Mason, to interpret the EDR data. The computer inside the vehicle is the EDR data. You can also call it the black box. There's a computer inside every vehicle. Now, this prosecutor wants to bring in a specific investigator, Investigator Chad Mason, and have Investigator Chad Mason interpret the EDR data to the jury. Now, why is that a problem? Why is it a problem that she brings Investigator Chad Mason? Well, because Investigator Chad Mason already lied. There's no credibility. He already lied to the court, and we're going to go over the transcript. He violated department policy. And what he did in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case is so crucial that today you have a dash camera that has no audio and it's cut before impact. This officer cut and muted Mustafa's dash camera, and he lied on the stand to the court. I have his transcript. He has 4 different stories to how he handled Mustafa's dash camera. So you have Mustafa. I'm going to take you to the scene. I want to take you directly to the scene to paint a picture for you. Officer Chad Mason. Now that we have the body cams, we can go directly to the scene. This body cam is titled Vehicle 360. Let's see if we can find it. We will find it. There we go. This is the vehicle accident. This is at the scene when the officers are responding to the vehicle accident. You see that Mustafa is on the floor in front of his vehicle and in out of consciousness. Officer Chad Mason shows up on the scene. Officer Chad Mason shows up on the scene, and he's the officer. Mustafa has a dash camera inside his vehicle. Now, Mustafa had this dash camera for over 5 years. The officer that showed up on the scene is Officer Chad Mason. Who handled and took possession of Mustafa's dash camera? Officer Chad Mason. Now, Officer Chad Mason tells the court 4 different stories to how he handled this dash camera. So, the prosecutor is attempting to use that officer, an officer that has 4 different stories, and today the dash camera has no audio and is cut before impact. Well, geez, I wonder which officer got this dash camera pregnant. You're going to put the same officer that has 4 different stories on the stand to interpret the EDR data for the jury? How does that make any sense? How is that going to work out for you? He already lost credibility. He already lied. And you're going to... So which one is it? Is he lying then or is he lying now? Let's go to the scene and look at what is happening on the scene. This is Mustafa. Imagine an officer shows up. You're in and out of consciousness. You get in a vehicle accident, and the officer that takes your dash camera is Officer Chad Mason. And he has 4 different stories to how he handled the dash camera that today is missing audio and is cut before impact.
Anybody seen Bastard? What's that? Did you open that other patient blanket? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. There you
go. That's Mustafa right there. On the floor, in and out of consciousness. Right in front of his vehicle, on the floor, in and out of consciousness. Officer Chad Mason shows up and take possession of Mustafa's dash camera that today has no audio and it's cut before impact. And he has 4 stories to how he handled the dash camera. We're going to read the transcript and see what Officer Chad Mason is telling us. Where's Mustafa? Let's see, make that a little bit bigger. Okay.
Sit back and relax, okay?
Okay. Now, our question for the prosecutor is, why is she not using the main investigator, Robert Drum? The main investigator is Robert Drum, and the assistant to the main investigator is Chad Mason. Now, here's a question. Why is she using the assistant to the main investigator and not the main investigator in this case? Well, when you find out that this officer is all over the news for falsifying Mustafa's statement, you then understand what this prosecutor is doing. She's desperate. She can't use the main investigator because he's caught falsifying Mustafa's statement. So what is she? The only option that she has left is to use an officer that already lied. I mean, who else? There's two investigators in this case, the main one and the assistant. Let's go over to what the news is telling us about the main investigator.
On 4 tonight, there are new questions being raised in the case of a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her 5-year-old daughter last year.
They come after Prince William's police chief ruled the investigating officer had violated department policy. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey spoke to the driver's defense attorney about why he thinks the finding casts doubt on the case.
Mustafa Al-Jaziri has been behind bars for almost a year now, accused of intentionally driving his car into oncoming traffic, a crash that killed Dorothy Fontaine and her 5-year-old daughter, Empress. Initially charged with manslaughter, the charges were later upgraded to second-degree murder. Al-Jaziri's family insists the crash was an accident. The defendant's brothers filed an internal affairs complaint with the Prince William County Police, alleging the investigating officer, quote, falsified a portion of his police report to say that the couple was arguing before the crash. Al-Jaziri's brother provided a taped version of a phone conversation that contradicted portions of the written police report. Last month, the Al-Jaziri family received this brief letter from Prince William Police Chief Peter Newsham reading, "The investigation revealed that Master Police Officer Drum violated department policy, therefore appropriate corrective action has been taken." Al-Jaziri hired a new defense attorney, Blake Weiner, who tells me he specializes in police misconduct cases.
The police report talks about my client saying, "I know what happened." He didn't say that. The police report also says that they were arguing in the car. He didn't say that. These are not only these material facts and material misrepresentations, they're the foundation of the government's case.
Weiner says without the incriminating statement, there's no proof Al-Jaziri crashed the car intentionally. Police will not disclose specifically what led to the finding that the investigating officer violated department policy.
All right, so you have an officer, the main officer, that's all over the news, that's caught falsifying Mustafa's statement. And he falsified the foundation of this whole entire case. He said, Mustafa, you told me you were arguing inside the vehicle when the dash camera show there is no argument inside the vehicle. And there is an audio recording of the conversation between Mustafa and the investigator. Mustafa never said that. This officer wrote in his police report, falsified it. He said, no, you, Mustafa, told me. Well, Mustafa never said that. Now, he's all over the news, and that's a problem for this case. It's a problem for this prosecutor because she can no longer put him on the stand and have him testify in this case, knowing that he already lied. Now, at the time, the Commonwealth attorney came out and she said, by the way, remember, at that point, the case was sealed. I didn't have access to this file. Today, I stole the file. I have the file. I'm leaking the file, all the body cam, every piece of evidence in this case. Now, but then, at that point, the Commonwealth attorney came out because it's sealed. The case is sealed. She comes out and lies to the community. She said, I have other evidence. You don't know what I'm building my case on. Wait a minute. So that's all you're going to tell us? You don't know what I'm building my case on and hide behind that it's a sealed case. And then she comes out and says the dash camera did not have audio. Wait a minute. Why is this dash camera with no audio? In the leaked file, digital forensics says there is audio. But you, the Commonwealth attorney, that officer says there's no audio? Let's listen to what Commonwealth Amy Ashworth is telling us.
Court documents filed by prosecutors say there is other evidence supporting the charges, including dash cam video from the vehicle. But there's no audio on the recording.
They claim they don't have audio of the dash camera, but here they are telling the public they were arguing. So if they don't have audio, and my client didn't say they're arguing despite the police report saying so, what's their basis? We don't know.
Weiner says his next step.
All right. So you've got a Commonwealth attorney that comes out and tells you there is no audio on this dash camera. Well, let's examine the officer that handled this dash camera. I mean, today, the motion that's coming up, prosecutor Sarah Sammy, she wants to use the same officer that handled the dash camera to have him testify for the EDR. Well, that's a problem for you because this officer is involved in the scandal of the dash camera. You're telling us that this dash camera has no audio, but the officer that handled this dash camera has 4 different stories to how he handled the dash camera. Now, if he's lying about the dash camera, if today the dash camera that he handled, that he has 4 different stories, comes up with no audio and it's cut before impact, that's a problem. I mean, how could you trust this officer to not lie to you about the EDR, the computer inside the vehicle? Is he lying then or is he lying now? This is Mustafa's EDR data. So the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle show. What does the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle show? All right. Before I show you the EDR, let's listen. Actually, let's go through the EDR and listen to what this officer is saying all over the news. I think that's fair. All right. This is the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle. Let's see if we can pull that up. There we go. All right, there we go. Did Mustafa have his foot on the brake the entire time? This is Mustafa's foot on the brake the whole entire time. When it says on, that means Mustafa's foot is on the brake the entire time. All right? So Mustafa is slamming on the brake the entire time trying to stop the vehicle. Question is, was Mustafa accelerating? Was Mustafa hitting the gas? Mustafa's foot, when it says 0, Mustafa was not hitting the gas. Mustafa's foot was only on the brake. Only. He was only slamming on the brake. All right. Let's listen to what Officer Chad Mason is telling us. This is the EDR out of Mustafa's vehicle. The EDR show that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the entire time and he's not hitting the gas. He's only slamming on the brake. Now, let's listen to what Officer Chad Mason is telling us. The same officer that today Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to put on the stand and have him interpret the computer inside the vehicle. We just watched the EDR and Mustafa's foot is on the brake the entire time trying to stop the vehicle. Let's listen to what investigator Chad Mason is telling us.
Prosecutors also called the crash scene investigator to testify to support their theory that the crash was intentional. Sergeant Chad Mason says there were no skid marks at the scene, only light braking, and that the heavy damage was all on the passenger side. Al Jazeera's attorney says that evidence.
We just watched the computer inside the vehicle show that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the entire time. And this officer comes out and says, what exactly? No skid marks and light braking. His foot is on the fucking brakes the whole time. Wait a minute. Why is Officer Chad Mason not telling us what the police department found when they inspected Mustafa's vehicle. I mean, Officer Chad Mason, you're all over the news, but you're not telling us that the police department found brake failure when they inspected Mustafa's vehicle. Let's go over to the body cam that's leaked out of Mustafa's file.
Right rear tire, brake, didn't engage.
Let's listen to that one more time. Brake did not engage. So brake failure. When Mustafa is slamming on the brake, the vehicle would not stop because you, the police, inspected the vehicle and found brake failure.
Right rear tire, brake, didn't engage.
Let's listen to what Officer Chad Mason one more time tell the community all over the news. Why is he not telling us that there is brake failure? Why is he not telling us that Mustafa is slamming on the brake the entire time?
Prosecutors also called the crash scene investigator to testify to support their theory that the crash was intentional. Sergeant Chad Mason says there were no skid marks at the scene, only light braking, and that the heavy damage was all on the passenger side.
So, Mustafa's foot is on the brake the entire time. The computer inside the vehicle showed that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the entire time. And the vehicle would not stop because you, the police, inspected the vehicle and found brake failure. But you have Officer Chad Mason all over the news tell you that Mustafa did not do anything to avoid this vehicle collision. That this is not a vehicle accident. Well, Officer Chad Mason, let's put you under the microscope and let's see what else are you lying about. Because Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to use you on the stand to testify and tell the jury, interpret the EDR for them. But if you've already lied in this case, how could we trust you to tell us anything in this case? Let's go over to what Chad Mason is telling us. All right. So if you go over to Beyond the Metal Bars, this is our TikTok channel. I've posted most of the items out of Mustafa's file. All right, let's see. First of all, this is interesting. What if I tell you Chad Mason, in his own word, is telling you that he is not an expert? Let's read the transcript. All right. This is May 10, 2024. So before we get to the transcript where he has 4 different stories for Mustafa's dash camera, let's read that Chad Mason, in his own testimony, in his own word, tell you, I'm not an expert. So how are you going to put him as an expert to testify on EDR data? Let's see. All right. Before we go into that, let's do this. Before we go into Chad Mason, I think it'll be a good idea to read. It'll be a good idea to go over the motion that's coming up. All right. Let's start with the motion and then go and put Chad Mason under the microscope. I think that's a good idea. All right. So this is the motion that Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. We'll come back to Chad Mason. Let's go over the motion. And so that way we know what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is attempting to put through in the court. All right. So this is a document this is the motion. You'll find it on Beyond the Metal Bars on TikTok. All right. Under Commonwealth motion, eliminate to admit evidence of event data recorder and expert testimony. So what she's attempting to do is attempt to bring in Chad Mason and have him testify as an expert. All right. So page 3 out of 11. Okay. All right. Come now, the Commonwealth, by and through her attorney, and respectfully submits, moves this court for a pre-trial ruling to admit the following. 1, the expert testimony of investigator Derek Vaco of the Prince William County Police Department regarding the retrieval data recorded, EDR data of the Chevy Suburban. So the other vehicle involved in this collision is the Chevy Suburban. And what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to do is bring in investigator Derek Vaco to read and interpret the EDR for the jury from the SUV. Now, item 2, the expert testimony of Officer Chad Mason of Prince William County Department on retrieval and analysis of EDR data from the Chrysler 300, Mustafa's vehicle, and analysis of EDR data for the Chevy Suburban. Okay, the EDR data from the two vehicle involved in this case in support thereof of the Commonwealth states as follows. All right, so here's a problem for Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. We have a leaked body cam. We have a leaked body cam that show when the judge issued out an order to get Mustafa's vehicle inspected by an independent expert, investigator Robert Drum, the main investigator, is seen on body cam blocking the SUV from getting inspected. And he goes on and blocks Mustafa's vehicle from getting inspected by an independent expert. And he says, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy told me that to block the inspection. How does that make any sense? Because you're breaking a judge order. When you block the inspection of the independent expert, you're breaking a judge order and you're blocking this case from going to trial. Now, that's a problem because here in this motion, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to bring in investigator Derek Vaco to pull the EDR from the Suburban, the other vehicle involved in this collision. Wait a minute. On body cam, we're watching investigator Drum tell his supervisor that the other vehicle has no evidentiary value. Therefore, we're going to block it from getting inspected. Let's watch that body cam. That's Mustafa's independent expert with a judge order to inspect this vehicle. And you have investigator Robert Drum blocking the independent expert from reconstruction and examining Mustafa's vehicle in the SUV.
So you need to? We'll take the straps off. And maybe we'll cover some. We need to cover Suburban.
Just for this. Court orders just for this, and I don't see how the Suburban evidentiary value of covering it. How?
Did you hear what he just said? He said, I don't see how the SUV has any evidentiary value. So what they've done is they blocked. There's another body cam where they block the SUV from getting inspected. Now, how does that make any sense? Let's listen to that one more time.
The Suburban evidentiary value of cover. How the Suburban evidentiary value orders just for this. Court orders just for this, and I don't see how the Suburban evidentiary value of covering it.
All right. So he's telling his supervisor that there is no evidentiary value, and here they're blocking the Suburban.
Am I allowed to take pictures of the other vehicle?
No.
Okay.
From that court order?
Yeah, it just says the vehicle.
am I allowed to look at the Suburban? He says, no. He tells his supervisor that it has no evidentiary value. Well, let's go back to what Sarah Sammy is telling us. In a motion, she wrote, we're going to read that again. Page 3 out of 11. Here she says, item 1, the expert testimony of investigator Derek Vaco of the Prince William County Police Department regarding the retrieval of event data recorder, EDR data from the Chevy Suburban. So your investigator can take the stand and go over and interpret the EDR of the Suburban, but Mustafa's independent expert is being blocked from inspecting and reconstructing this collision and inspecting the EDR and of the Suburban. Oh, I mean, when you get to the bottom of it, what is going on in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? I say they're manipulating and they want to lie to the jury. They want to tell them their side of the story and put officers that are already lied to the courts. But your independent expert can't. And what did they say in court? What did prosecutor Sarah Sammy tell the judge in court? This is what she's telling the court. Sarah Sammy tells Judge Weimer that, Your Honor, we allowed the inspection of the vehicle and the reconstruction of this accident. We allowed the independent expert to go in there. Let's read what she says. So we just watched the body cam where they're blocking it. But in court, she tells the judge, Ms. Sammy, my understanding, this is what prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling Judge Weimer. My understanding, so in the lower court, when Mr. Stephen was counsel of record for Mr. Al-Jazari, I set up a time with the police department to allow Mr. Stevens and an expert that had been hired by him to come and inspect each of the vehicle at the impound lot. Wait a minute. So you're telling the judge in court that you set up a time for the independent expert to go out and look at each of the vehicles and get this collision reconstructed. Why are we watching this home body cam? Why are we watching your officer tell the independent experts that you said you can't look at the car and blocking this reconstruction, breaking a judge order?
Which one is it?
What's that?
Which one is
it's in the box. Per my conversation with Sarah, said this is the first time I've ever done this in 18 years. She said we can pull it out for you.
Yeah.
You can look at it. She doesn't want anybody touching it.
Okay. Like touching it, I mean, can I?
Like if you want to take pictures and all that, but if anything needs to be manipulated, we'll do it for you for chain of custody issues.
Perfect. Sure. Okay.
But yeah, you're more than welcome to like poke around.
Yeah.
But nothing gets moved, changed, or anything like that. So, cool.
So, Sarah Sammy in court. Let's go back to Sarah Sammy one more time. Sarah Sammy is telling us what exactly? Sarah Sammy is telling us, my understanding, so in the lower court, when Mr. Stevens was counsel of record, or Mr. Al-Jazari, I set up a time with the police department to allow Mr. Stevens and an expert that had been hired by him to come and inspect each of the vehicles at the impound lot. Each of the vehicles. We just watched a body cam where they're blocking the SUV, they're blocking the other vehicle, and this independent expert is so shocked. Let's watch the rest of the body cams where he's telling him, am I even allowed to take the wheel off? He's like, no. Sarah Sammy said, you can't touch the vehicle.
Am I going to be allowed to pull wheels off? Am I going to be allowed to pull wheels off?
That's your call.
Just photos. Or just one or the other, if I can.
If I may ask what you're looking at.
I'm just looking at the brakes. Okay. That's what I want to look at.
Can you pick it up?
Will we pick it up with the...
Mind you, listen to what they're talking about. Should we pick it up by a jack? We want to preserve the evidence. We want to make sure that it's not manipulated. We don't want to manipulate the evidence. Look at the car, and I'm going to show you a picture of the vehicle after the accident, and look at what they've done to the car. The police department crushed this vehicle inside the police department. They took the vehicle after the accident to the police department, and they crushed it. And they want to talk about preserving it. Oh, we don't want you touching it because we want to preserve it. He has a judge order to get this vehicle inspected. Are you terrified that this independent expert is going to look at the car? Your prosecutor is telling him in court, is telling the judge, I'm letting the independent expert reconstruct this collision. But here you are on a leaked body cam. On a leaked body cam, it showed that the main investigator, the same investigator that lied all over the news, Robert Drum, is telling the independent expert, prosecutor Sarah Sammy said, you cannot reconstruct this accident. You cannot touch the vehicles. Not Mustafa's vehicle, not the other vehicle involved in this collision, the SUV.
The tow bed?
With the tow bed?
I'm sure we've got a jack. Huh? I'll grab one. I would say leave the wheel on. Sarah said she doesn't want anything manipulated. I don't mind a cap coming off for looking at something, but taking a wheel off.
You need to get under and look inside the drum.
Yeah.
Sarah, prosecutor, said she doesn't want anything manipulated. You can't touch the vehicle. You can't take the wheel off. You can't do anything. How is he going to reconstruct this accident? How is he going to reconstruct this entire collision? Wait a minute. Doesn't he have a judge order to reconstruct this collision? Wait, isn't prosecutor Sarah Sammy telling the judge, I allowed the reconstruction of this vehicle, but you've got this officer, the same officer that lied, blocking it under the pretense we don't want anything manipulated. Well, let's look at the car. This is the car. This is the car after the accident. And you notice everybody's out of the vehicle. Mustafa's family is already out of the vehicle. Mustafa is out of the vehicle. This is at the scene after the accident. Well, this is the vehicle inside the police department. Explain to me how the vehicle went from this to this. This is the fire department brought in to chop at the vehicle. Why did you chop at the vehicle? Wait a minute. Your pretense for not allowing the independent expert to touch the vehicle is because you want to preserve it? What's going on here? Sure doesn't look like you're preserving anything. It sure looks like you're chopping, crushing, and staging the vehicle. This is the fire department chopping away. Chopping away at the vehicle that's supposed to be preserved. I mean, you're charging Mustafa with murder, and you're supposed to preserve the evidence, the main piece of evidence, which is the vehicle. But you're crushing the main piece of evidence? Explain to me how the vehicle went from this at the scene after the accident to this. And they want to tell you, we're going to block the inspection of because we want to, prosecutor Sarah Sammy said, we want to preserve the evidence. What are you talking about? Look what you've done to the car. Are you terrified that someone is going to reconstruct this accident? Absolutely. Are you blocking this inspection from moving forward? Absolutely. And what do you want to do? You want to bring in an officer that already lied. Officer Chad Mason. Officer Chad Mason, at the scene, is telling his fellow police officer to make sure the camera is off for all of it. Now, the question is, where is Officer Chad Mason when he handled Mustafa's dash camera? This is Officer Chad Mason.
Thanks, sir.
So,
Beautiful.
Here's the key. He's going to have, if he 100% consents, hey, you're under arrest, we'll make sure about no drugs and like that in your system, make sure cameras on all of this. Make sure cameras on all of this. Make sure cameras on all of it.
Make sure your camera is off for all of it. Why would an officer remind his fellow officer on the scene, make sure your camera is off for all of it? We know he's wearing a body cam. We know he has a body cam on the scene, but his body cam is nowhere to be found. And that's a question for Mustafa's lawyer. Mustafa's defense attorney. In Mustafa's file, the prosecutor, at one point, Mustafa's defense attorney, Brad Haywood, filed a Brady motion that there are missing pieces of evidence in Mustafa's file. And this is exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory means important evidence for this case to show what actually happened. And the prosecution is withholding exculpatory evidence. A motion was filed by Mustafa's lawyer, Brad Haywood, that by law, she has to turn over everything. So we're at a stage, we're almost 4 years into this case. Mustafa is in a county jail without a trial. And the prosecutor is at a stage where she's forced to turn over everything. In one of Mustafa's documents, the prosecutor is telling the police department, make sure you turn over everything. The judge has no problem dismissing the case. So my question for Mustafa's current defense attorney, where is the body cam of Officer Chad Mason? Because that has not been turned over yet. This is Officer Chad Mason at the scene when he's asked about Mustafa's dash camera.
You got a thing?
No, there's this first rotate up there.
How about cameras? We got any cameras? So they have a dash camera on the
We got
car.
Target.
Yeah,
Target's a dash cam. Target's going to pick up big time.
Is it still running?
Can't. No, the cable's broke. So I mean, I don't know if it was broke before or broke now, but it's broke. I am starving like mom.
I'll get you some food in a minute.
I just need water. Just water.
That I have a case.
You want to tell me that's a normal reaction? You want to tell me that Mustafa is in front of his vehicle in and out of consciousness, a major accident. Mustafa's family is in critical condition. And there's a dash camera inside the car. And when asked about this dash camera, the main investigator, the one that handles this dash camera, Chad Mason, he says, the wire is broke. I'm starving like a motherfucker. Changes the conversation completely to that he's hungry. What are you talking about? You've got a dash camera inside the car and you want to talk about that you're hungry? Why are you changing the conversation? The wire is cut? What do you mean the wire is cut? Where is the wire? 4 years into this case, there is no wire. Where is the wire? Is this wire cut? Did you cut this wire? Because we can find out. We can bring an expert to find out, how was this wire cut? Was it cut? Did you cut it? Because today, this dash camera has no audio and it's cut before impact. Someone edited this dash camera. You are telling us on the scene the wire is cut? Let's watch that one more time. Something is not adding up.
Nice. You got a thing?
No, there's this first rotate up there.
How about cameras? We got any cameras?
So they have a dash camera on the
We got
car.
Target. Target's a dash cam. Target's going to pick up big time.
Is it still running?
Can't. No, the cable's broke. So I mean, I don't know if it was broke before or broke now, but it's broke. I am starving like mom.
I'll get you some food in a minute.
I just need water. Just water.
That I have a case. I have a whole case of water. Both nights. As soon as I go walking at WDX to fucking eat. Both nights. I was just turning up. You gotta think.
We know he has a dash cam. He has a body cam.
Still running?
Where is your body cam? This is his body cam. You see his body cam right here? This is this officer's body cam. He's wearing a body cam. Where is that body cam?
Oh, the cable's broke.
Where is Officer Chad Mason's body cam? Why is it nowhere to be found in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case? I mean, that body cam would have captured when he handled Mustafa's dash camera. I mean, this officer wants to tell us that the wire is broken. When he showed up, the wire was broken. Well, your body cam would have captured it. And we know your body cam is on because this is what you're telling the main investigator.
He says he doesn't remember anything. He says he's in a car crash. That's it. I said, any drugs or drunk today? He said no. It's on camera. It's on camera.
It's on camera. It's on his camera. He's telling him it's on camera. I've got it on camera. So you're selective about what you want on body cam, what you don't want on body cam. Your conscience of your body cam. And you're telling your fellow officer, make sure your camera is off for all of it. You're telling the main investigator, it's on camera when you're talking about something completely different. We know that you are wearing a body cam. So the question is, where is your body cam when you handled Mustafa's dash camera? You're telling us the wire is cut, right? All right. So that's a question for Mustafa's lawyer. And by law, the prosecutor has to turn over that body cam. And you can't gaslight this case and say, well, the body cam doesn't exist. The metadata from Exxon is going to tell you whether the body cam exists or it doesn't exist. There is a metadata. The police department contract with the company Exxon for body cams, and the metadata can be pulled to show whether the body cam is there, whether it was recording, whether it's not recording. And if it's, God help this officer, if it's not recording, because that means he turned it off. Why would you turn off your body cam when you're handling Mustafa's dash camera? You're telling us the wire is cut, but you're turning off your body-worn camera when you're handling Mustafa's dash camera. That doesn't look good, Officer Chad Mason. And then you find out that in court, this officer has 4 different stories to how he handled Mustafa's dash camera. Remember, this is the officer that Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to use in the upcoming motion for EDR to interpret the EDR, the black box computer inside Mustafa's vehicle, to the jury. Well, if the officer already lied, how could you trust this officer to tell you anything? Let's go over the transcript from what Officer Chad Mason is telling us. All right, so on our TikTok channel, Beyond the Metal Bars, you're going to see a post titled, let's see. All right, there we go. There we go. This post is titled, Different Stories. 4 different stories, dash camera broken, chain of custody. So, the chain of custody has been broken because this officer has 4 different stories. And all 4 stories, he handled the dash camera without a warrant. When you have a piece of evidence, you can't take it unless you get a warrant for it. This officer took this dash camera without a warrant. Now, the chain of custody is broken. So how could you trust this piece of evidence now that you've got this piece of evidence pregnant? You can't. You've handled this piece of evidence. Today, how do we know it's pregnant? Because the dash camera has no audio. It has no audio, and it's cut before impact. Let's read what Chad Mason is telling us. He has 4 different stories. Which one is true? Is it the first story, the second story, third story, or fourth story? Are you lying then or are you lying today? Let's read the first story. All right, so on October 31st, 2024. All right. Let's make that bigger. There we go. All right. October 31st, 2024, page 15 in the transcript, line 10 to line 13. All right. And between the time that the crash occurred and you eventually obtained a search warrant, did you ever or did anybody remove the dash camera from the vehicle? All right. So here he's telling the court. He says, no. Okay. Before I got a warrant, the dash camera was not removed from the vehicle. All right. That's story number one. You're going to find out in story number 2, 3, and 4 that he removed this dash camera before obtaining a warrant. That's a problem because there is no longer, you have a chain of custody. You're supposed to get a warrant and then obtain the item in question. In this case, Chad Mason didn't do that. He went out, he took the dash camera, played around with it, and then got a warrant. Well, today the dash camera has no audio and it's cut before impact. The first story, he says, I didn't do that. The dash camera was not removed from the vehicle until I got a warrant. All right, that's story number 1. Story number 2. All right, story number 2. On page 17, October 31st, 2024, transcript, page 17, line 12. Officer Chad Mason says he photographed it. He's talking about the dash camera. And then it was taken back to my vehicle. He took pictures of the dash camera. And then he said, I took it back to my vehicle. And if you read the rest of the transcript, he's talking about he took it back to his vehicle. He removed the SD card. There's an SD card inside this dash camera. He said, I removed the SD card. I took it back to my car. I removed the SD card, plugged it into my computer, downloaded the file, and then you find out that he uploaded the file to the server, evidence.com. That's breaking department policy because his job is to package this dash cam, get a warrant so that chain of custody is not broken, and then package this dash camera and send it off to digital forensic. Digital forensic is a department within the police department that when they get this dash camera, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to mirror and copy the files in this dash camera so that if when they go through this file, the original files are not manipulated, are preserved. In this case, that didn't happen. First, the officer says, I didn't take the dash camera out of the vehicle without a warrant. Now he's talking about that he took it back to his vehicle. All right. Page 22. October 31st, 2024. Officer Chad Mason tells the court on page 22, line 16, it was returned to my department to see if there was actually files on my card, on the card. Wait a minute. He's asked, what did you do with it? This officer is asked, what did you do with it, the dash camera? He said, it was returned to my department to see if there was actually files on the card. You just said you took it back to your vehicle. Now you're telling us you took it back to your department. Which one is it? Was it not removed before the warrant? Was it taken back to your vehicle? Or are we to believe your third story? It was taken back to the police department. These are 3 different stories. Let's read that one more time. October 31st, page 22, line 15. What did you do with it? What did you do with the dash camera? Chad Mason says, it was returned to my department to see if there were actually files on the card. That's the third story. Fourth story, page 24, October 31st, 2024. Line 5. Lieutenant Peak had the camera, but it was transported by another investigator. So the fourth story, Chad Mason tells us, Lieutenant Peak had the camera, but it was transported by another investigator. Which one is it? Was it that it was never removed before a warrant? Or was the dash camera taken back to your vehicle? Or was it the dash camera taken back to the department? Or was it that Lieutenant Peak had the dash camera and it was transported to you by another investigator? Which one is? These are 4 fucking stories. And today, you have a dash camera that has no audio and it's cut before impact. Let's listen to what Amy Ashworth, the Commonwealth attorney, is telling us all over the news.
Court documents filed by prosecutors say there is other evidence supporting the charges, including dash cam video from the vehicle. But there's no audio on the recording.
They claim they don't have audio of the dash camera, but here they are telling the public they were arguing. So if they don't have audio, and my client didn't say they're arguing despite the police report saying so, what's their basis? We don't know.
You have an investigator that shows up on the scene that has 4 different stories, and today the dash camera mysteriously has no audio. You don't find that interesting? That the dash camera in question, the main piece of evidence, just cuts off before impact? The audio is no longer there. Digital forensic is telling us there is audio. Digital forensic, Cassie Zymus, is telling us there is audio on this dash camera. And today you have an investigator that has 4 different stories. And prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to put that same investigator on the stand to interpret the EDR, the computer inside the vehicle, to the jury. I say, prosecutor Sarah Sammy, you are desperate for having investigator Chad Mason on the stand. You can't use the main investigator because your main investigator, Robert Drum, is all over the news, lied and falsified Mustafa's statements. So your only other option is to only use the other investigator in the case, investigator Chad Mason. But your problem is when that officer takes a stand, his credibility is shot. You don't think the first thing that the jury is going to be notified that this officer has 4 different stories to a dash camera that today has no audio and it's cut before impact? Go watch the dash camera. Tell me, where do you see the impact? I mean, here the Commonwealth attorney is telling you there is no audio when Cassie Zymus tell you from digital forensic that there is audio. I want to thank everybody for being here. We're going to continue to monitor what's coming out of this case, and we want to monitor what Mustafa's defense attorney is doing. And the question that we're asking is, Mustafa's defense attorney working for Mustafa? Is this defense attorney, who we all are finding out today, Mustafa's defense attorney is not a hired defense attorney, is a public defender. And we all know the stigma around public defenders, that they are working for the county. Is this public defender willing to go against a police department that falsified this case? These are legitimate questions coming out of the Mustafa Al-Jazari case that evidence showed that the police department falsified. Is Mustafa's lawyer working for Mustafa, or is he protecting the county? And the reason I ask is Mustafa's trial is coming up in December. the Judge Carol Weimer, issued out another court order to get the vehicle reconstructed. At one point, Brad Haywood, Mustafa's previous defense attorney, went up to the judge and told the judge that the prosecutor and the police department blocked the inspection of the vehicle. We just watched those body cams. And because of it, Judge Weimer issued out another judge order to go out and inspect the vehicle. And he said by the end of September of last year, this independent expert is to go out and inspect the vehicle. Why hasn't that been done yet? What does that mean about the judge that's not asking questions? Where is the independent expert from getting the vehicle reconstructed? He said by the end of September of last year. See if we can pull that up real quick. This is Judge Weimer. This is Judge Weimer. Okay. So this is September 16, 2025. September 16, 2025. Page 24 on the transcript. He said it should include in the order that this extraction and inspection by the defense is to be facilitated and occur before the end of September. So my question for Judge Carol Weimer, Judge, are you impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case when you're no longer asking if the main piece of evidence is inspected? You saw the body cams. Mustafa, previous attorney, told you that it was blocked, and you felt so compelled to give another judge order to go out and inspect the vehicle. The county issued money for an independent expert to go out and inspect the vehicle. Till this day, the vehicle has not been inspected. My question is to this judge. My question is to this county. My question is to Mustafa's defense attorney. How is this case? How will this case move to trial if the main piece of evidence is not being inspected? If you're not allowing this vehicle and the other vehicle involved to be reconstructed, this collision to be reconstructed, how could this case move to trial? Clearly, on body cam, you saw the police department and the prosecution office block the reconstruction of this collision, blocking this case from moving to phase 2, which is the trial. This case cannot move to trial if you haven't reconstructed the main piece of evidence, which is the vehicles involved in this case. Who's blocking it? The police department and the prosecution office. We're watching on body cam. Who's not asking questions whether the inspection has been done? The judge is not asking questions. Where is the impartiality on this with this judge? A bigger question is, where is Mustafa's lawyer? Trial is just around the corner in December. And if the lawyer is not asking for the reconstruction, that means this lawyer is no longer working for Mustafa. He's doing the bidding of the county, protecting a county that we're all watching from this leaked file that's sealed by the county. It's leaked, and we're watching that the county had falsified this case. We're going to continue to monitor this case. I want to thank everybody for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer out of Prince William County, you are under the microscope.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you